There's been nothing like OSIRIS-REx in NASA's repertoire. I like to call it the Daredevil spacecraft.
10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And liftoff of OSIRIS-REx, its 7-year mission to boldly go to the asteroid Bennu and back.
Hello and welcome. I am Karen Fox with NASA's Office of Communications, and we are here today at the Dugway Proving Ground in Utah for a press briefing on NASA's OSIRIS-REx mission. Earlier today, the mission jettisoned a capsule containing samples from asteroid Bennu that parachuted down onto the Utah Test and Training Range so we can study those samples here on Earth. It's been a very big day, and we're going to kick it off with some highlights.
Entry was at
EO milestone. SRC is experiencing maximum heating and maximum deceleration.
So you just heard right there, we're experiencing that 5,000 degree Fahrenheit maximum heating.
EO milestone. We have confirmed parachute deployment.
Wow, and after an exhilarating streak across Earth's atmosphere, we have parachute deployment. You can see just a sigh of relief from the team. I can hear some applause here. The team on the WB-57 doing
EO
a great job.
milestone. We have touchdown. I repeat, EO. SRC has touchdown.
And touchdown of the OSIRIS-REx sample return capsule. A journey of 1 billion miles to asteroid Bennu and back has come to an end, marking America's first sample return mission of its kind and opening a time capsule to our ancient solar system. A sample carrying fixture.
Recovery operations. WB has located the parachute on the ground.
You just heard that confirmation from that high altitude plane locating that parachute on.
We have here a panel who will all give you some of their impressions and some information about what happened today, and then we will go on to take some questions from media in the room and on the phone line. We have with us Lori Glaze, who is the director for NASA's Planetary Science Division at NASA headquarters in Washington, D.C. We have Dante Loretta, who is the OSIRIS-REx principal investigator at the University of Arizona in Tucson. Next, we have Mike Moreau, who is the Deputy Project Manager for the mission at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center in Greenbelt, Maryland. And Tim Prizer, the Chief Engineer for Deep Space Exploration at Lockheed Martin in Littleton, Colorado. And finally, Eileen Stansberry, who is the Chief Scientist at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. Lori, passing it to you.
Great, thanks, Karen. I don't even know what to say. What an incredible day this has been. It has just been phenomenal from start to finish. I wanted to start just by thanking everyone that's been here, sharing this with us here at the Dugway Proving Ground, and everyone around the world who has watched and followed along all day. It has just been amazing. We just appreciate everyone coming along with us to celebrate NASA's first ever asteroid sample return. It has been incredible. And these samples that we've brought back, and now you're going to hear what the next steps are and what we're going to do with those samples. Those are going to be a treasure for scientific analysis for years and years and years to come, to our kids and our grandkids and people that haven't even been born yet. It's going to be absolutely incredible. And another thing I just want to point out is that these types of samples, they are truly the gifts that keep on giving. They are a treasure, and this mission, OSIRIS-REx, is kicking off a decade of sample return. Following OSIRIS-REx, NASA is partnering with the Japanese Space Agency on the Mars-Moon Explorer mission, which is going to bring samples back from the Mars-Moon Phobos. We're going to have new Artemis samples of the moon. Feed incredible new scientific analysis and new understanding of our closest neighbor, the moon. And then capped off with the return of samples from Mars, samples that are currently being collected by the Perseverance rover on the surface of Mars. So this is just an amazing opportunity here to kick that off. I did want to make sure I take this opportunity to thank those that made this possible. What you saw today, everything that you saw, could not have happened without the amazing partnership between NASA and Department of Defense, including Hill Air Force Base, Dugway Proving Ground, and the Utah Test and Training Range. And then also I'll even add Air Force, who's brought the aircraft here that's going to carry our precious samples and some of our team members down to Houston tomorrow. It's just been amazing. And I'll also just say what you saw executed today, that precision, everything going just almost perfectly to plan, that happens because of an incredible team. Hundreds and hundreds of people. You'll hear from a few of those team members here, but I know that every person that you see is backed by hundreds of others. It's been an incredible accomplishment, and I just want to thank Dante and everyone, the entire team, for this incredible accomplishment. And then the last thing I'm just going to close out with is just a reminder that, you know, the spacecraft OSIRIS-REx dropped off her precious sample this morning, and then 20 minutes later embarked on a new journey. She's not only embarking on a new journey, but handed over to new leadership, now led scientific leadership by Daniela Della Gastina. Fantastic to see the next generation taking on this next generation mission, taking the spacecraft to explore another asteroid called Apophis. So thank you. Back to you, Karen.
Thank you so much, Lori. Next up, we have Dante Loretta, who's going to tell us a little bit about what it was like to be part of the recovery team.
Thank you, Karen. Well, today capped the end of an almost 20-year adventure for me. I got involved in this program in February of 2004 when representatives from Lockheed Martin came to Tucson and said they were thinking up an asteroid sample return mission and they wanted U of A to take the scientific leadership role. And I was brought in as the deputy principal investigator under the leadership of my mentor, Professor Mike Drake. And I just want to think about Mike a little bit here today. He passed away in 2011, just 4 short months after we won the contract from NASA to fly this program. And I know he would be super proud, and he would have loved today. He would have just really embraced and embarked on this amazing journey. When we first were talking to our friends at Lockheed, it seemed like magic. Like they said, pick an asteroid, Dante, and we'll bring samples back to the Earth for you to study in your laboratory. And I can tell you, this is the end of a very long spell. Right? We've been casting it for a long time. And it was great to be part of the recovery team. It was pulse pounding, I'm sure, for you watching it, even more for those of us in the helicopters, waiting for that main chute to come out, right? We were, with bated breath, making sure that we came down for a nice soft landing in the Utah desert. And it worked spectacularly well. I was fortunate enough to be one of the first people to lay eyes on the capsule, and boy, did we stick that landing. It was just sitting right there, you know, a few tens of feet right off a nice road, perfect place for the helicopters to land. Didn't move, it didn't roll, didn't bounce. It just made a tiny little divot in the Utah soil. So for the environmental sampling team, that was great. We had to sample the area right where the capsule landed. We picked up some background sample soils just for understanding the native environment, some dust samples, and gas samples to see if anything was coming out of the capsule. We don't think so because the safety engineers were the first ones on the scene. We actually couldn't approach it until they cleared it for human safety reasons. There was no sign of any toxic gases, which we knew was a rare event, but of course human safety always comes first, and that was the first checkout that needed to be made. There was also a very clear area. We are on a military test range. There was no sign of any issues for us to operate out there. So we got our job done really fast. You know, we did a lot of rehearsals. We always rehearse and practice on this team. That's why we always achieve these high levels of excellence. And I can't say I couldn't be more proud. And just to remind you, not only did we bring this mission in on schedule, under budget, and delivered more science than we had even thought was possible with the encounter with Bennu, but we think we've got a lot of sample in that science canister, and we can't wait to crack into it. For me, the real science is just beginning. I grew up as a laboratory chemist, studying meteorites and particles from the Stardust mission, which NASA brought back in 2006. So I really am looking forward to the next stages of this journey. People have asked about, you know, the planetary protection. We did go through extensive planetary protection reviews. We were unrestricted Earth return because Bennu is a near-Earth asteroid. Probably material from this asteroid has been delivered to the Earth at some point in the past. It's also a very small body that's constantly exposed to ionizing radiation, and no life forms that we know of would be able to survive that kind of environment. So very, very low risk. In fact, we're more worried about Earth biology contaminating the sample. The key objective for me, and one of the driving objectives of this program, is to try to understand, did carbon-rich asteroids like Bennu deliver the compounds that may have led to the origin of life on our planet, the origin of Earth as a habitable world. And so we don't want biological organisms interacting with this, so we plan to exclude it from any contact with bacteria or anything else that might compromise our scientific investigation. And the team at Johnson Space Center are experts at this. They've got a beautiful laboratory and isolation glove boxes, and we're going to start processing that sample, we hope, as early as Tuesday of next week.
Great. Thank you so much, Dante. Next up, we have Mike Moreau, who's going to tell us a little bit more about entry, descent, and landing.
Yeah, so it's so amazing to be in this moment. It's hard to describe what it means to be in this moment. I've worked on this project not as long as Dante, but a decade, through the early development of the mission to the mission operations to leading the recovery team. I was in the control center today with my partner in crime, Richard Witherspoon from Lockheed Martin, and we were directing the efforts of the team and directed all the planning that went into the activity today. And just seeing that parachute, seeing the capsule descending on the main parachute, and then seeing it just sitting perfectly